this point. But I mean, let's talk about Hunter Biden, because there's some extraordinary things. There's some very, very important things to say. And I think before we get into the, the sort of inner things, let's just take a few steps back. Let's go back a year and a half. We had, well, actually a year ago, the Democrats were cranking up to impeach Donald Trump on the basis that Donald Trump had supposedly tried to get a foreign government, Ukraine, to carry out an investigation of Joe and Hunter Biden. And this was said to be absolutely outrageous. And we were hearing endless comments about how the Bidens had done nothing wrong and that there was no evidence that the Bidens had done anything wrong. And now we find that, in fact, throughout that entire period of that impeachment, right from its inception, right up to the point when, the impeachment finally collapsed, Hunter Biden was under investigation by the Justice Department and the FBI. And this fact was never disclosed to Donald Trump, to his legal team who were defending him in the impeachment, to the US Congress, or to the American people. I mean, that is astonishing. That was an act which withheld from the president, from his legal defenders, from the Congress, and from the American people, something which was absolutely key to the impeachment. If in September, October 2019, when the Democrats moved for impeachment, the Justice Department had disclosed that actually, in fact, Hunter Biden was under investigation for suspected tax evasion and money laundering. And we're going to come to that in a moment. That whole impeachment would then and there have collapsed, because the whole impeachment was predicated on Trump trying to fabricate a case against the Bidens when the Bidens supposedly had done nothing wrong. So, I mean, it's astonishing, it's incredible, it's most disturbing, and that was what happened. So that's the first thing to say about this. The second thing to say is, of course, then after all of that, we have the whole election. We have the election in which, as we know, Giuliani and various people, they found this laptop in Delaware. The computer repairman in Delaware comes along. He says, I've discovered this laptop. We have all these stories appearing. This is during the election. And the US, the laptop is passed to the FBI. We've also had reports from the Committee for Homeland Security in the Senate making various extremely serious allegations about the Bidens. And what happens? We are repeatedly trolled. We are repeatedly told throughout this election that this is all Russian disinformation. It must all be suppressed. And moreover, that the Bidens have done nothing wrong. Joe Biden comes along in one of the election debates with Donald Trump. I think it was the one with Chris Wallace. And he actually appears to lend weight to the story that it is all a Russian disinformation campaign. He refers to this letter by all those ex-intelligence officers, including Brennan and Clapper and Comey and all those, in which they say that this bears all the classic hallmarks of Russian disinformation. That is his reply to Donald Trump's questions about Hunter Biden. So he's lending credence to all of that. And of course, he must have known when he said that his son was actually under investigation by the Justice Department and the FBI. Now, what happens? He's elected, and we had this announcement that Hunter Biden is under investigation by the Justice Department and the FBI. And whom does it come from? It doesn't come from the Justice Department or the FBI. It doesn't come from Hunter Biden himself, contrary to what people are saying. It doesn't come from Hunter Biden's lawyers. It comes from the Biden transition team. Is Hunter Biden part of that transition team? Is he going to be involved in his father's administration? Presumably not. We are told no. So why is the transition team coming up with this kind of announcement? I think this whole thing is beyond disturbing. And I want to just get on to the role of the Justice Department in all of this, remaining silent during the impeachment, remaining silent during the during the election, allowing the Bidens themselves to go around insinuating that, there's nothing untoward going on, that this is all Russian disinformation, and saying and doing nothing. And I'm going to quote a section from an article by National Review. This is a conservative Republican news site, but one which is hostile in many ways to Donald Trump. And this is written before Bill Barr's role in all of this was disclosed. It says, another disquieting aspect to the story is how the Department of Justice purportedly participating in burying it. Sources told Fox News and others that the DOJ is super sensitive about moving investigations from covert to overt during an election if they believe it could potentially affect the outcome. Their political sensitivities are irrelevant. We need to know more. But tamping down an investigation to hide it from the public before an election is as bad as accelerating an investigation to smear someone. It is entirely bad. This was something the American people needed to know. The article goes on to say, law enforcement is tasked with investigating criminality, not with assessing how their work will shape public perception during an election. Rather than following due process, bureaucrats are now making investigatory decisions that could easily be construed as helping politicians who are either their boss or their future boss. So it was a political decision. And may I just add that embarrassing or affecting public perception during the impeachment would not have been the same anyway as affecting public perception during the election, but they concealed it in both cases.
They did it twice. Barr did it twice. He did it. Now we know that he was burying the Hunter investigation and the Hunter probe, as well as the Jim Biden probe. Yes. So he was burying that, the laptop, the whole thing.
Yes.
But he also buried the fact that he appointed John Durham special counsel as well in October. So exactly. He didn't disclose that fact. Not only did he not disclose it to the American people, he didn't tell President Trump either.
He didn't tell.
So Barr was hiding a lot of things.
Yes. I find that incredibly disturbing and extremely serious. Extremely serious, because both of those things, the fact that John Durham had been appointed special counsel and the fact that